Welcome to the Kim McVicker podcast. Today, my guest is
Hi, I'm Sarah O'Dwyer, and I'm a dancer, Pilates instructor, comedian, actor, bunch of different stuff.
three more things. So many things. So we'll start with dancer since that's what you said first.
hmm
What style of dance do you do?
So I am trained as a commercial dancer,
Mhm.
um, which, commercial jazz, ballet, tap, that kind of stuff. But now I do more burlesque. So I'm doing more of the art of the tease, as well as I also dance with a French cabaret company. So I still do like can and showgirl style dancing as well.
That's cool. How do you get into burlesque style of dancing? Like I'm familiar, and we'll get into all kinds of dancing, but that's the one that I'm the least familiar with.
Yeah. So I went to dance college after high school, and then I was when I was about 20, I got off. I had a dance agent in Melbourne, and she offered me a contract. Well, I got an audition. I didn't get offered a contract. I got an audition for a French cabaret in France, and I got it through just like a video. And then I did that for years, all that kind of stuff, cruise ships and all that. And then I met my husband on the cruise ship, and I moved to Chicago to be with him. And I was just trying to find something that was similar to like French cabaret and dance and things like that. Sorry, that's my husband right
No, I
there.
kind of love that he just walked by when we were talking about him. We're talking about you.
Like, but yeah, so I was like, well, I just need to find something because I was also Australian in America and I wasn't allowed to work. So, because we were going through that whole process. So I just looked up, because in France we did like topless cabaret, that kind of stuff. I was like, well, what's similar? Well, burlesque, they strip. So that seems similar.
Right.
So I took a few classes from a burlesque dancer there called Michelle Lamore. She is quite high profile in the burlesque community. And yeah, just started taking classes from her and realized it was so different from what I thought it was.
Oh,
But I
really? Okay,
really,
so what are some common tropes that like people think burlesque dancing is, but then it's like, oh no, it's this.
well, I think in my head, I thought it was more like as a commercially trained dancer, it would just be easy for me to slot into this. But I found out I was like, oh, this is much more about the tease and about story and about comedy than it is about dance. Don't get me wrong,
Mm.
it is about dance. But I mean, I do some numbers where I hardly move. Like it is much more about story and like the comedic value of it and like, taking 5 minutes to take off one glove, like something like that, but making it interesting and why people want to watch it. So when I started working with this woman, I remember her saying, she's like, sometimes dancers are the hardest ones to teach burlesque to because all they want to do is dance. And
Wow.
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like, can I kick my face and do a triple pirouette? She's like, do you need to do that? I'm like, I guess probably not, but
I mean,
seems
if you can take
impressive.
off your bra while doing the triple pirouette,
Yeah.
yes. I feel like
Good.
that's a trick.
Yeah. Exactly. And we've
Yeah.
learned all those things along the way. So, yeah, but I think burlesque is what the general public think it is. They
Okay.
just strip it, you
How
know.
how naked do most burlesque shows get?
It depends. I get quite naked. I do enjoy getting quite naked, but you don't show.
Like that you're like, I enjoy it.
I really enjoy, I do. So much so that like my producing partner's like, can you not be so naked just for the photos because we need to post this? And I was like, yeah, you're right, you're right. I'm gonna cover up, I promise. But I get down to pasties and sometimes either a G-string or a merkin.
How does yeah, social media, because like you would probably get blocked for 90% of it.
Yeah, so we get flagged
Um,
for a lot of stuff.
except for I
Uh,
guess on Twitter or X you can, right?
I'm not on them, so I
I'm not
don't
on
know.
it either. I just know that people always say they see like porn on it, which
I'm
is more
sure they
nudity than
can.
burlesque. So I'm like, if you can do that, then you can do
hmm
this.
It
Yeah.
seems like the route that they're going to. Yeah, so it probably would allow all that, which would be great. I wish Instagram would.
hmm
But
I've
they
always
flag.
said I want Instagram to have an eight. I know they have an 18 plus button, but I
Mm,
want them to have like a comfortable with bad words and inappropriateness.
that-
Like its own like you have to prove that you're over 18 or show me an ID, but like let's
yes.
go. Like it, and if you're an adult who doesn't want it, just say no thank you, and
Then you
that's
can say
okay
no, I
too.
don't need it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally fine. Whatever anyone is comfortable with. Yeah, no, I mean, I have got pictures of my boobs with pasties on Instagram, and I haven't been flagged. But I also think it's because I don't have a huge following. I think if I was, had hundreds of thousands, maybe they would flag me, because they tend to flag the people that have more followers.
Mm.
And then sometimes you'll hide it behind
A carousel of
there'll
things.
be 4 pictures and the last picture is naked, but
Yeah.
But if you're listening, Instagram, please don't flag me. Don't go through all my photos now.
Yeah, and why would you? It is Instagram for me. I take dance classes every now and then, and I get like flagged for like classes I took 4 years ago. That's like, hey, we're gonna take down the music or take down this post because of the music, and I'm like, I don't care. I forgot I even did that.
Yeah, sure.
I just keep it so that I remember what I was able to do in my younger age. That's all it's for, is to be like, look
Nice
at what
to
I
see.
could do. Proof.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I'm not on Facebook. I only do stuff on Instagram. I don't do anything on TikTok either. So yeah.
That's cool. Is there like a club in LA that everyone goes to for burlesque, or like what's the?
I mean, there's multiple. It just depends. There's so I produce a show at a theatre called the Cat's Crawl, which is in East Hollywood. Super cool theatre, but they don't just do burlesque. They have, people rent out the theatre to put on a show. But there are places you can go in LA if you just want to see burlesque, where they're kind of like improvising through the tables, and it's more of an interactive experience. But you know what? They're slowly shutting down, which
Why?
it's just, I think also just like restaurants, theaters, all this kind of stuff. It's really hard in LA right now. We just had the Hollywood Burlesque Festival, and it was meant to be at the Bourbon Room. And then a few weeks before it, they were like, and it's shutting down. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh my goodness. What about Harvard and Stone? Doesn't it have like, I don't know if it's burlesque, but it has dancers.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
They do it every now and then. They do more live bands, but they do have burlesque every few weeks. It's
not as consistent as it used to be. Because they used to have it like all the time, and it was cool because they are all up top. And they're all talented dancers. I grew up as a dancer, for anybody who doesn't know, and I used to tour as a dancer. So watching going to a bar and then seeing somebody dance, I can get very I don't want to I can get very judgy and be like, oh, she shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, I can get real judgy real fast, especially if I'm drunk. I could be like,
completely.
Yeah.
And turn your foot out.
Yeah, what are you doing? That's why I can't go to strip clubs, because I get mad at their technique hard immediately. But I feel like at Harvard and Stone, when I went, I was like, oh, wow, they're all very talented.
They're very talented.
I
I have a good friend that works there a lot, and she is awesome. And she's trained ballet dancer, and now she does burlesque. So
it's so interesting that people who you would think a ballerina wouldn't go into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's about body positivity and being comfortable, and then just owning your sexuality, I guess.
Completely. I mean, I did ballet all growing up, and was just always told that, well, you'll never be a ballerina, but you should do ballet because it's a good foundation. But my sister had flat turnout, she was tiny and that kind of stuff. So we're like, you're not going to be like Rachel, but you should still do it. And I was like, thanks for the encouragement.
My sister is so much better than I am at ballet. And I had to take
it. Did she go professionally as a dancer?
My niece is professional, her child. She did dance professionally, but she is a teacher at a really good dance studio now.
Oh, cool.
But my ballet teacher growing up was always like, and my sister also does burlesque. My ballet teacher growing up was always like, Tammy can do it. Why can't you do it? And I'm like, we're different humans. Tammy is 6 foot tall. I am 5'4", and I don't like you.
I don't want to do this for you. So.
This is not. Yeah. You're not making me want to do. Which is gonna pivot me into Pilates. Okay, so you teach Pilates, and I always tell people you're my favorite. It's because the accent meets. You always say perfect, which I think when you're like, oh, perfect, whatever that is. Motivates people so much, or at least in my opinion, because then it's like, you're perfect. Not perfect, but you're like, wait a minute, someone's giving, because affirmation is so difficult to get nowadays that I feel like I compliment myself more than anybody. My husband will be like, what are you complimenting? You're like, I'll actively out loud tell him how great I am, and my husband will be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, no one else is gonna do this for me, so I'm complimenting myself for doing the dishes.
Go, you should. You're like, I'm so good at this. Did you see how it was stacked?
Yeah, I did it. Period. The end. I didn't want to, and it got done. I feel it. It was perfect, right? Yeah, you should be an alarm clock for everybody. What got you into Pilates?
Because I was a dancer, honestly, because I did Pilates growing up, they added it in when I was like, I would have been like 15 or 16. That's when like Pilates became big. And so it was one of the extra classes that they added into my very busy dance schedule.
Cool.
And I just loved it. I thought it was the best. And then I did it once a week and I fell in love with it. And I was like, Mum, can you please buy me a video cassette? Because there's a specific one that I want. And it's Mari Windsor, Advanced Body Slimming Pilates. Mari Windsor is the original. She's on YouTube. I think she's dead now. She's amazing. And so I used to do her 20-minute Pilates video cassette every morning before school when I was like 16.
Really? And then what was like, what's her Pilates thing?
All mat style Pilates. So you're on your back for most of it and then on your side. That's no machines, nothing. And so I used to do that every morning. And then I got so into it that I lived in you guys call it a cul-de-sac, but we call it a court. And so I lived in a court growing up. And
Canada calls them a court? Yeah, we call them a court. I used to live on Peel Court, which is a circle, right?
Yeah, I used to live
it's
on
a
Birch
court.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, you guys get
they
it.
call it a cul-de-sac. To me, a cul-de-sac is a full gated community. I don't know if that's accurate, but my opinion of like a cul-de-sac is like, it's not just a circle. It's that whole like, whoosh, that's a cul-de-sac.
You're not allowed in.
Circle is
a court. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where all the snow will go.
And that used to annoy me because did you ever watch the Australian show Neighbours? Soap opera Neighbours?
I don't think so.
Anyway, it's quite famous, but it's more famous in England, I guess. I didn't know if they had it in Canada.
They might have. I just might not have watched it.
Yeah,
I also was not like the best TV watcher as a kid.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a famous street called Ramsay Street, and that's where like Neighbours, the show, was set. But it was really weird because Ramsay Street was a court. Because it wasn't like they called it something different. It was very odd. Anyway, I lived in a court. Sorry, I go off on tangents.
No, I'm for this. Tangents are my ADHD is my life.
Yeah. Anyway, I lived in a court, and all the women that lived in the court, they would have been my mum's age, so like 40s, 50s. When I was growing up, Mum would tell them that I do Pilates, and then they all wanted to do it. And so we invited them over one Saturday morning at like 10 a.m. and they all came over and I taught them Pilates just in the living room. And then they just started coming every Saturday morning and they give me $5 each.
How old were you at this time?
I would have been 15 or 16. Yeah.
This is why you're amazing at it. Like you started so young. Oh, that's so cool. So I take Pilates, full disclosure, and I have never, it's the only Pilates I've ever taken in my life.
Really? You've never done any other kind?
No, and so like other people will tell me like they're like, oh, this is a really hard Pilates place, and I have zero bar to know if it's hard or easy. I think it's hard, but I don't know if it's harder.
It's hard. What you do is hard.
See, that's why I'm perfect.
Very good at
it. Yeah, I don't know who created the reformer or how any of that. Whoever was like, let's do this, but elevated. But like whatever Pilates up is like. It's scary. Like for whatever reason, it's very scary to me whenever we're standing on the machine. I'm like, if you fall, you will hurt yourself. And that's like an added element to it.
I do try not to think about it because then I could worry about you all.
Oh, for sure. As a teacher, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I think about it because I'm worried about your safety, but I'm also like, because you can imagine people falling off the machine and it doesn't sound fun.
I've watched people fall.
Yeah.
And my husband when someone falls next to you, you're like, oh, yeah.
Right. When my husband fell, I was like, good. Okay, great. Well, then we're fine.
I mean, it's not that high up. You're not actually going to hurt yourself. It's just your thought processes. I'm not 16. That's all.
Yes.
And there are some lovely 20-year-olds who I'm sure will not be worried about falling. I'm just in my 40s. Like this is just a different bar, and that's okay. Yeah.
There. But yeah, no, I've done all the different kinds of Pilates, but this is the one that I kind of just stuck with, and I like it really works.
It's hard and it's good, and it's like you feel like you accomplish something afterwards. I guess. Yes. And I like how fast it is, and it's down the street, which is also very helpful.
Oh, it's a 6-minute walk for me, so yeah,
it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So, are you like really into health and fitness in general, like in your life, like outside of? Because it seems like both of these are all very healthy things.
Totally. I am. I in general, my fitness is dance and Pilates, and that is it. That is all I do. Just because those are the things that I enjoy. I used to do a lot before and go pretty hard and not be nice to my body,
Mm.
and not feed my body and things like that.
Oh,
Um,
I think that's everybody, our gen. I know you're a
mhm,
little younger than me, but I feel like
mhm.
that was like that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I had um, all sorts of eating disorders and things in my 20s. So now, no, I when I'm hungry, I eat and I eat whatever I want, and that includes vegetables and includes chocolate and includes fried foods and I eat it all.
Do you
I eat
think
it.
there's more, like, just speaking of bulimia and anorexia, those two specifically, do you think there's
Those
more
fun
of
stuff.
that now or less? I don't have
Uh,
kids, so I don't know, and I don't think you have kids either, but
no, I don't have children. I I don't know honestly. I really think that we're coming out of it
yeah.
in
I
general. I
think
mean,
because
in
thick is in
comparison.
or whatever, right? Like, which wasn't in the
Pardon?
90s. Being thick, like a healthy
Yes,
look is in, whereas it used to be like
like Kate Moss.
cocaine.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
used to be cocaine
Mhm,
look. No,
mhm.
no jawline. Yeah,
Heroin
yeah, yeah.
chic. Yes.
Yeah, lose your teeth.
I think, I mean, I believe that we're coming out of it, but again, I think it's because I don't involve myself in it whatsoever anymore, and I like even like I remove myself from conversations that have that in it. Like I
Smart.
just like walk away because I just won't talk about it. I don't in my classes. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I will never. Um, like if we do a Thanksgiving class or something like that, I will never refer to it like we're gonna burn off what we ate. That's not a thing for
Oh,
me.
yeah, I've never paid attention to it. I don't
Yeah,
know if anyone else does that either.
yeah. I
But
just
you
think
shouldn't be
very
working out for that either. For me, the workout in general and any workout that I choose to do is about not dying.
yeah,
That's my sole
yeah.
goal. And the reason that I like, so it's Studio Morph is the place that's how I say it, right? I don't even know how
Yeah.
to say it properly.
Well, metamorphosis, but we call it morph. Yeah.
Thank you. They have like two sides of the Pilates where the little things move. So that I think that's what makes it harder than a regular reformer. I'm not sure.
Look, I think that a lot of the things we do on the reformer, I find to be a lot more difficult than traditional style reformer Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of that is like laying down on your back, on your side, and things like that. And you can do that stuff on the reformer, and they also stand up on the reformer. Traditional Pilates is very hard as well, but in a very different way. They don't do a lot of planks actually. Traditional
Oh,
Pilates.
we do a
Yeah.
ton. And I also feel like anytime we put our hands on the bars, that it's like a handstand that I always imagine myself at like the end of the world or like an earthquake in LA. And I'm like, you're gonna be able to hang on. Like that's my thought process is like, if the world breaks and you have your hand here and your feet here, you're gonna
Yeah.
be able to make it until somebody
Yeah.
gets there. Like that's my
Exactly.
legit go-to brain thoughts, which is
So strong. But the arms, I find the arm stuff to be very similar. All the arm
okay.
exercises are quite similar. And I can do like laying exercises, but it's just not what the studio morph method is. It is
Right.
more like, the lunges and things like that. I say this, I haven't taken every traditional Pilates class there
Of
is.
course.
So everyone is different. And sometimes traditional Pilates don't really like the
Yeah,
more.
everybody has their own kind of style,
Yeah. But I love it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Your stretch class. Oh, who doesn't love a good stretch class? There needs to be more stretch classes in life.
That's my
Uh,
favorite class to
yeah.
teach.
There should be a 30-minute stretch class after every class, and you just pay
That'd be
extra to stay if you want it or don't want it. Because I would
that'd be
probably go
so
in early. I'd probably take it before my class too if there was a spot. Like stretching is my favorite thing to do, but I
Me
don't know if
too.
it's laziness or just feels good.
No, no, everyone should stretch. Stretching is just as important as working out.
Thank
I
you.
so
You're right. Because I
You're
agree with you, and that's how the internet works. So you also act. Did you act when you were not in America or
No.
what?
I mean,
Okay.
I did growing up, like, theater and stuff like that, like at school and things like that, but I never thought I would necessarily pursue that professionally. I say like I'm pursuing it professionally now. I don't get paid that much money to do it. Every now and then a gig comes up. But I'm a
Could you
professional
do a
actor.
lot of commercials or you do some
Yeah,
commercials?
yeah, I do commercials.
Does
Yeah.
your accent ever get in the way of that or do they not
Uh,
care?
Yeah, I have a commercial agent, and so when auditions comes through, I'll look at what the company is and be like, nah, they wouldn't want an Australian. They clearly want an American. Some of them will specifically say American, but some of them, if they don't say, I just kind of judge. And if they're like they allow me to do 2 takes, then I'll do an American and Australian just to give them a bit of taste.
So you can do American accent then.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's
Pretty-
amazing, but yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. That's all right.
I just don't ever want to lose this because I love my accent and I get stressed sometimes. Like if I've been in acting class or something and I've had to do an American accent, like, for 3 hours or whatever, on the way home, I'll put on my favorite Australian artist who sings with an Australian accent and I'll just sing all the way home because I get so nervous that I'm going to lose my accent. Which is
Really?
not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It could. I don't have a Canadian accent anymore. And I used
don't?
to have a hard one. I mean, I don't think so. And it only comes out if I'm like really drunk or really angry.
Oh, okay.
Like I'll be
That's like
"Hol-"
when people can't, like when they're like, I can't speak French, even though they can. When they're drunk, they speak it because they get all confident.
Yeah. I think it's purely just yeah. So you could, but I also think I tried to lose my Canadian accent because when I moved to America, I was 16, and I was getting made fun of.
16?
Yeah, I went on tour when I was 10. I don't recommend any of this.
Wait, were you with your parents or?
No. So my mom, when I was 10, I went on tour without my mother, but I had like a guardian who was 16, I think,
Right.
maybe 18.
So really took care of it.
I had somebody who was really not old enough to be taking care of a 10-year-old. But I've survived and I'm here, and there weren't cell phones, and who knows?
Wow.
We didn't know about trafficking. No one got me. It's okay.
Good.
I don't even know if they tried, but I was loud. It would have been fine. And then when I moved, my mother also moved when I was 16. So it was my mom and I, and my siblings were already kind of moved out because they're so much older.
Got it. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then when you first went on tour, you went on tour as a Canadian citizen with like a visa or something? Is that how it worked?
Probably. I was 10,
No idea.
so I was like, I was just impressed that I had traveler's checks that I had to fill out to like buy stuff. That was a real thing. I had like a coupon book of money, and then I remember the company took away because whoever was in charge of me, they didn't let me have all my money at once for like dinner and whatever. So they took all my little traveler's checks, and we ended in Disney, and I want to say it was Florida Disney, I think. And I had saved so much money so that I could blow it in Disney because I was 10 years old and like I was dancing with Mickey Mouse, and I don't know if you know, but that's the king.
Wow.
I was like, I don't think anybody gets how cool I am right now.
I got to know, what did you buy in Disneyland?
So all I wanted was this Nala and Simba. I think it was Nala and Simba, the kissing Lion Kings where the magnet nose kiss. It was probably like $100, which was a lot of money for me. And I had saved all my money. Like I'd eaten less, probably like done all these things to like, like save my money. And then it was the day before, and I wanted to just blow it all because I knew my mom was coming the next day. And they're like, you can't. What if your mom is late? What if her flight is late? Like what? And I was just like, what are you talking about? It's my mom. She's never going to miss me. Like,
no.
She's going to be here on time. And so I had to wait for her to come. And I just remember the first thing I said to her, I was like, they wouldn't let me spend my money. They were like, waiting for you. I told them you would come. See, you're here. Let's go buy it. Let's go buy the doll. That's all I wanted was the doll.
Yeah. Did you dance with a bunch of 10-year-olds, or were you the only 10-year-old?
I think it was the only 10-year-old. There's some other teens, like 16 and whatnot. I don't remember anyone being super close to my age. There was a shorter girl than me, so people identified her as younger than me, but she was definitely older. I also remember I got in trouble because I said that smaller girl, she was doing like a belly roll thing. And I said that's something about the devil with it. And I don't know. I think I was trying to be funny as a 10-year-old, and my siblings are so much older than me, and I had 2 older brothers who would like watch comedy and all this stuff. So I was like trying to be like a comic without knowing that that's what's happened. And then I got in a lot of trouble for saying that because America. I don't know.
America.
It's America. And I didn't associate it as like, I mean, I grew up Catholic, like it wasn't like saying the devil didn't mean whatever. I ended up getting yelled at hardcore. And I was like, that's not how I meant it. My bad.
No. You grew up Catholic as well. Wow.
I did, but not really. I mean, I went to a private Catholic school, but like Madonna's mural with her boob out was the whole basement of my house. Like my brother painted naked Madonna. Madonna was, I always say, our real church. That was my family anyways.
We were Catholic, but we didn't really practice anything. It was just
we went on Christmas.
Yeah, we went to church on Christmas. Christmas Eve, we dressed up as the angel or Mary or whatever.
Well, you did? You dressed up?
Because they would let the kids like sit on the altar on Christmas Eve, and everyone would dress up, and you'd sit on the altar and listen to mass from the altar. I don't know why that was cool.
That sounds cool though. It's not the same.
We're just staring at the parents. It was very weird.
But that is more fun. I would have like over sitting next to your parents.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, I guess you got to sit next to your friends and your siblings or whatever, and so it was fun. But that's all we did. And then we went to Catholic schools because they were just the schools that mum and dad, they were just like, we like these schools. So that's
Right.
what we're
That's
going.
like in Canada, you don't pay for public or Catholic schools like America does. So they just send
Mm.
you to the better school, which happened to be the Catholic school. So,
Yeah.
you know, you learned religion. Okay, fine.
Yeah. It was
Uh,
fine.
Yeah, I always felt like
I
when we
asked a
went
lot
to,
of questions and they didn't like me very much, but yeah.
oh, I definitely got in trouble. So I got in trouble several times for this stuff. So one, growing up, my mom is a single mom with 4 kids. So whenever we did go to church, we would always be the ones that they would have us walk all of the Eucharist or whatever that stuff is, like all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the goo.
yeah.
And I was like, they always pick us, and I was like, they're just trying to like shame us. I felt like so like weird about it. And then when I went to high school, I went to like a private Catholic school in America when I first moved to
Mhm.
the States junior, senior year of high school. And I used to go to confession whenever I had a test and be like, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. I didn't study for this test, and therefore I'm using this time to not take it. I would literally actively be bad in that moment, which isn't the worst a kid could do, but like whatever.
No, you were fine. You were a
Yeah,
very good
that's the
child.
worst I did. So like whatever. But yeah, I used it to my advantage. I found the loopholes.
Yeah. I mean, I remembered all the stuff they told me in religion, so I did quite well, but you know.
Yeah. It's just like, why are gays going to hell? Was always my question. But why?
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of stuff. What do you
Yep.
mean? Huh? Why?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
I think
how
it's
could
go ahead.
I mean, I just asked so many questions about Jesus. Like it all just seemed so unbelievable. It's like, but that didn't actually happen, right?
Yeah, like how, and I think it has evolved over time over like how people interpret the Bible and how it's taught as well. As like some places teach it as like, no, there are really 2 people, and then
Mm.
I think a snake ate an apple, and then everything was painful. Like my
Mm-hmm.
memory's probably not 100% accurate on it,
Yep.
but like something like that. And it's like,
Yep.
wait, that's really what happened? Like a snake came by? Like
Yeah.
what? Or Adam ate
Well,
the apple, but she made him eat it. I forget how it works.
it was all Eve's fault and
It's always the woman's fault. Yeah, 100%.
all her
That's the
fault.
way the world works. Yeah.
And then this man came down and then he just performed all these miracles because that's what happens. And then we had to perform like the Stations of the Cross every Easter. We all had
What
to
are
act.
those again? What are they? I don't remember.
So it's like the leading up to Jesus being crucified.
Mhm.
So like it's being nailed to the cross. Well, first
Oh,
he
like
had to
the little
like,
pictures that you saw the
yeah,
pictures. That's
all
what
those
okay.
little pictures, and you'd have to go around to all the pictures, and we'd all have to perform them. And like there was like
What do
one
you
of the
mean
stations
perform them? Like
perform
you'd be
them.
the cross or you'd be like, ah.
So we would in high school we had to do this.
Oh my
So
gosh, that's
we
too
had our
old, first of all. Not okay. Okay.
completely. We had like a big auditorium, and so like on Good Friday or whatever it was,
Mhm.
Easter no, it would have been Easter Thursday because we had Good Friday off. So on like Easter Thursday, we would have to like we had the Stations of the Cross hanging, so you'd walk around, and one kid, like some random year 12er, he was playing Jesus, so he had his shirt off, and that was a big
Always
deal.
him?
Yeah, well, it would generally be like a year 11 or 12, someone that's older.
But it was a like so kids were watching in the middle while
Yeah.
other kids were assigned to do.
Yes, assigned to do specific stations, but they're so dumb because it's like one of the stations is Jesus being whipped. One of the stations is like when the cross is hung on him and he has to walk with the cross. And then one of the stations is he falls down. And then one of the next station is he falls down again. Like they just
Aw.
made this shit up. Like
It also like someone had to be the whipper.
yeah, someone had to whip him.
I could see someone being like in 9th grade, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm down
I
with
could,
this.
I could see the like appeal to doing that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I do. So in Canada, we have Easter Monday off. Do you guys have that?
Yeah, so we have we get Good Friday, Easter Saturday, Easter Sunday, and Easter Monday off, all of it.
I think America doesn't do the day after holidays, but Canada always does that. I don't know if you grew up with that.
Well, I think we just have a lot of holidays in Australia. They just want to give us all
What's
of
like
the
a fun holiday you have that I don't know about?
like we have Melbourne Cup weekend, which is a horse race, which I don't necessarily agree with horse racing, but whatever. We get a 4-day weekend for it. It's
But is the theory because you're all supposed to go watch the horses, or is it
no,
because there's so
it's
many tourists and there's like nowhere to go?
I actually have no idea why so we have like the carnival racing is like a whole season in Melbourne, specifically where I'm from, and so it's horse races over a period of a few weeks, and all the women get dressed up and fancy and then just get drunk at the horse racing.
Sounds fun.
I never went though, like, because we lived in a country town, so we lived an hour and a half out of Melbourne, so we would never go. But the Melbourne Cup was on Tuesday. It's like a 2-minute horse race, and we would all get the Monday and the Tuesday off. It was public holiday for
That's
one
amazing.
horse race that lasted 2 minutes. They just wanted to give us a holiday. That's all.
Yeah, people just wanted a day off, and I'm for it.
Yeah, Australia. I mean, like like the Queen's birthday, we would always get. Even though it wasn't on the
Canada still
Queen's
gets
birthday.
that. Yeah. That's
Well, I guess
that's
it's
fun.
the king now, isn't it? Whatever.
Oh yeah, drama. I remember growing up thinking it was always going to be the Sun, and then it was not the Sun that is it. I forget all their names. The younger kids, they were like on every magazine. Did you have them on every magazine? When I was growing up, they were like Prince Harry and Prince Edward, right? Is that it?
William.
Well,
Charles's kids, William and Harry.
Yeah. They were on like every magazine growing up.
Completely.
It was like the hottie, like along with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Macaulay Culkin. It was like the Fab Four. They should have started a boy band.
Yeah, but now William's just so bald. It just wasn't.
They were always gonna be.
Bless him. Oh,
I mean, you don't have to be bald anymore, though.
No, you don't. He could choose not to be. You're right.
I mean, what is that? Yeah, what does that say about our gen? So anybody who is bald at our age who has a lot of money, I'm not talking if you're broke. You're choosing to be bald.
That, you know what? You're so right.
That's an interesting. I never thought about it. Like, I'm like, wait a minute.
Only if you have a lot of money, though. Like,
yeah, no, I'm sure it costs money, but eventually it'll be a pill, just like everything else.
But I will say, for how long ago The Office was made, Steve Carell's plugs were fantastic.
Yeah.
They are really good. For that time, really good.
Let's all get wigs. What kind of wig?
Yeah, no, we had all the what was I just talking? With the royal family is very big deal. Very big deal in our household.
I don't remember what part of Australia I was in. There is some like a musical, it was like a festival of something. Maybe it was Adelaide. I don't remember.
There's a lot of but there's the Fringe Festival in Adelaide.
It may have been that. I think it was the Fringe, and I'd done choreography for Game of Thrones the musical. And so I went for like 24 hours. And then I just remember going to some fancy store and spending a lot of money on I didn't actually buy it. I put on a pair of pants and they were expensive, and I pretended that I had that kind of money, and I didn't. And then you bought it. I went, and I think is this where kangaroos and all that are, right? Yeah. So I went to the zoo. I was so disappointed that they didn't have kangaroos, and but they had deer, and I was like, makes sense because this is a zoo for here, like it's flip-flop.
Totally, but
And then I got a photo with a kangaroo or whatever, and then everybody told me they have diseases, and I was like, oh no.
Well, koalas more so have the diseases,
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna fuck them, so like.
And I hugged a koala. I know it has chlamydia, but I'm still gonna hug it. Like,
it's not gonna make out with me.
No, exactly. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Fine.
What do you think the biggest difference between there and here is when you move to America?
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah, because I feel like people, and obviously yours is more than mine, but people are always like, it's the same. And because it's English. And I'm like, no, it's not. That was so Canadian. No.
Oh, no.
No, listen, you hoser. No.
I think that, one of the ones I remember was being I went to the grocery store, like one of the first days I was, because I moved to Chicago originally with my husband, and he was at work, and I went to the grocery store for the first time. I'd only arrived like the day before or something. And just because I was like, oh yeah, I'll make him dinner tonight. It'll be, I'll do this thing. I can figure this all out. And I went to buy eggs, and I couldn't get my head around why the eggs are white. Like I was like,
what color are they where you are?
And why would they be white? Because they're brown where I am. They just that's how they come out of the
thing,
out of the butt.
Yeah, that's exactly where they come. Their butt.
Their butt. That's where it comes from. And I said to Matt, I was like, I could only find. He's like, no, there are brown eggs. It's just where you went, because I didn't know. I went to Walmart. I'd never heard of Walmart. I didn't know what Walmart
No,
was.
that's so America. How was your Walmart experience?
It was. I mean, I couldn't. I didn't really understand where I was or what was happening, and also because like I think a lot of the stores in Australia, they're separate. Well, they're not anymore. They are starting to come together, but like the grocery store just has food. And then
There's
like
no
Target, where
superstores.
I was from, just had like clothing and, you know, bed sheets and stuff, but it didn't have food. Whereas here, it felt like everything was like morphed together, and I couldn't get my head around that. But then when I asked him, I was like, well, where do I find brown eggs? He's like, oh, I'll show you where to go. But I was like, but why the eggs are white? It's like, because they bleach them. I'm like, but why would they bleach them? Like, so they're more appealing to people. And I was like, but if you just kept them brown, everyone would just think they were always brown. And he's like, I know. I don't know why they do it.
I didn't know they bleached the white ones.
Yeah, they bleach. Well, I think some of them come out white.
But then they
these
make the
were
rest
definitely-
white so that, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So that was like a
don't-
big difference. And then also like when my sisters came to visit me in Chicago, and I was kind of used to it. It had been like a year or two or something. And we were driving them home from the airport. And my sister was like, so should I just like wind my window up? Like, should I be aware of like flying bullets and stuff? And I was like, no, you'll be fine. But I understand your feeling, because we just see on the news in Australia, like just gun violence constantly.
When I moved to America, that was one of my first, like, there was a school that I almost went to, but it had a metal detector. And so it was a choice between that school and this like Catholic private school. And I was like, put me in the Catholic private school, because if there's a metal detector, everybody on the outside knows I'm not packing. It's just like what? Why am I thinking this way? But it's just because the stereotype of America from other countries is that everybody has a gun on them. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You could be in California, but in Canada or Australia or other countries in general, everyone thinks everyone has a gun.
Everyone has a gun, and it's terrifying. And I couldn't go to I used to struggle in the beginning going to the cinema. I just always thought I was going to get shot.
The time frame, because I know what time frame you're talking about. Yeah.
And then I would say even to this day, I get annoyed when I walk into the cinema and they don't check my bag. I was like, you're not checking bags? I think you should be checking bags. Like,
we should be checking everybody's bags.
It makes me very nervous.
When I first moved here, my biggest thing was that they sold alcohol at gas stations. And I was like, no wonder why you guys get DUIs, because like you can buy your alcohol and then drive. Like that makes no sense. Like Canada only has a liquor store and a beer store, and that's what they're called.
we have a bottle-o, like a drive-through bottle-o, so you can drive through to get your alcohol.
See, that's worse.
Yeah. Oh, Australia drink driving is a problem. It's a big problem.
Well, now cars are driving themselves, so that'll go away.
Yeah. But like I remember in Australia, like we had a huge drink driving campaigns all the time. It was just, the slogan was, if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot. That's just, everybody knows that.
Fun. Canada, we had this one in Toronto that was like it was a commercial of a guy on the subway, and he was passed out, and it was like him constantly missing his stop or whatever, and it was like, you might miss your stop, but at least you'll get home. And it was like so dramatic.
And he just slept all night on the subway.
But I never forgot about that commercial of like, just take the subway.
It's in your brain.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. Good job, Canada.
I did find here, in all fairness, when I came, like, because Australia, there's, booze.
People drink more in Australia, right?
Pardon?
Drinking is more accepted.
I would say so. And I think though, but not drinking and driving, because there are constantly like these trucks that would like, they pull you over and they breathalyze you. It was just all the time. You would always get pulled over. Same with like in Australia as well. The police are always pulling people up for speeding. In Los Angeles, no one ever, I've never once been pulled over.
I got pulled over once here for a DUI. I had zero alcohol because I was driving around the block trying to look for parking. And they were like, ma'am, are you drunk? And I was like, no, I'm just trying to find a spot. And I wanted to be on the block because I don't want to walk further. Like, they were like, oh.
Exactly.
I was like, not at all. But thanks for letting me know that that's what I look like. Yeah.
Well, I also remember like Matt and I one day were driving back from the beach or something. And we got pulled into like a DUI stop. And they were like, have you been drinking? And we both just said no. And they're like, okay, carry on. And I was like, but we could lie. And Matt was like, yeah, but.
And you should.
And I was like, why aren't they breathalyzing people?
You 100% should. If you get pulled over, just say you didn't, and then deal with it if it's the other way around.
That's great, because in Australia, just be like, breathe into this. Like they just test you. They don't even ask.
That's smart.
I think it is. But
I-
I'm a rule follower. I like
Okay.
to follow rules.
Well, we don't have any. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our rules were meant to be broken. America.
Well, I mean, I've opened up a little bit since being here, but I'm a stickler. I really am.
What
a
made you
stickler.
move from Chicago to Los Angeles?
I think multiple reasons.
No, snow.
So, I mean, I really hated the weather in Chicago, if I'm being honest. I did not deal well with the cold. And I was like, first of all, that
Well, if
performance
you like to be naked,
opportunities.
it's a bad place to live, like for
Yeah.
burlesque.
But in all fairness, Chicago has the best burlesque scene. It is
Really? Do they have like heated
phenomenal.
rooms?
Oh yeah, I mean everything's
Okay.
heated. It's lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I was never cold when I was naked.
Okay, good.
But
That's what I was worried about.
no, I also no, but I think in Chicago as well, people are so cold. If they go and see theatre all the time because they just want things to do. Because in the winter you can just be so closed in. Whereas here we're so lucky the sun shines every day, so therefore people don't go and see theatre, which is frustrating, but it's okay.
That makes sense.
But in Chicago, I think people just want something to do, and there's so many great venues and theatres and bars. I mean, I just went to Chicago a few weeks ago and just did 3 nights there, and I worked every night, multiple gigs a night. Like it was great money. It's fantastic. It's a cool city. But then coming out here was a bit of a rude awakening in that regard, but the weather's great and performance opportunities like acting and stuff. I was like, well, I could probably do that more here.
But
And
nope,
then
supply and demand. Everyone thinks go to LA for more stuff.
mm-mm.
Newsflash, don't. It's the opposite. I come to LA because you like LA.
Yes.
That's the reason to come here. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about LA. I was just like, there's opportunity. And then my other thing in my head was, it's a direct flight to Australia.
That's true. And
that
good.
was lovely. Yeah, because Chicago, you had to fly from Chicago to LA, then LA to Melbourne. So this is closer. And therefore,
and then you guys have holiday too, which is like where you get like full. How long is that typically where people actually take off from work?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
I don't think people do that here. I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think whenever we've been traveling, because I forced that upon my husband in the beginning. I was like,
That's
we're going
good
on
though.
days, yeah. Because I was just used to that. So, and he has good vacation time with his company. But whenever we would travel, and if we'd be in Europe or something like that, and there'd be Australians, and they would like, how long are you traveling for? And we're like, oh, we're here for 2 weeks. Like, how long are you traveling for? And they're like, oh, we were traveling around for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
People take off. But also, like, I don't think you could afford to live in Los Angeles if you took off a month.
You couldn't. Oh, completely.
And I couldn't imagine my inbox in my email. I would have an anxiety attack. Yeah. I mean,
but I also think it's just Australia. I mean, it's a like the work to live to work kind of situation. Like we just want to enjoy I think Australians in general want to enjoy their life. Now, in saying that, Australia is having a very bad cost of living crisis as well. So it's getting worse. How do we fix
that? How do we fix? I don't know. I have no idea. Because it doesn't. Yeah, everything costs more. Everyone wants more. Yep. And yet everything's digital, so it's not tangible. So it's weird. Mm-hmm. We're spending money on imaginations.
And yeah.
In a weird way.
Like, how are we? I don't understand how we got to this point, but it's terrifying. It's just the millionaires. That's all.
Let's become them.
How do we do that? Okay. Also, when I see people,
I think I said it like you. Okay,
when people
that was not on purpose.
At 11 a.m. And now I know that you and I do that, but I'm also like, do you have a job? Like,
not really.
Why is 11 a.m. full?
Well, and Pilates is really expensive in general. Yeah. It's not crazy. It's a lot. And then you get charged if you don't show up. My husband, there's like memes that my husband will send me of like, because it's one of those deals for me. I like Pilates so much that I was like, if we ever get into financial oopsies, like I'm still gonna need to figure out how to go to Pilates. And he's like, it's a cult, and I'm okay with it, and I like it. Mm-hmm. I got all the socks. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, but if you know it's a cult, then it's not a cult,
right? And you guys, it's not a cult. It's just good for you. But like there's all these memes that are like people doing Pilates, and it's like, hold that plank because this is $400 to hold this like for 3 minutes, whatever. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I like it because I'm getting older. I think as a dancer, Pilates is great for your joints. Like it's like
Yeah.
I know that swimming is like probably one of the better ones too, but like I don't want to get in a pool with people
No,
that I don't
it's
know.
the before and after of swimming that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind the swimming. I just don't want to be in a public pool with other people.
No,
That's
and
gross.
I don't want to do the shower situation afterwards. I remember swimming in school, and it was awful. Just you'd have to be in the locker rooms and you'd have to rush, and you just didn't feel clean. I don't like it.
It's not. It's chlorine. We used to take swimming lessons in Canada in school. Like that was part
Yeah,
of your phys ed. I don't
yeah,
think
we
they
did
have
too.
that here either. Like their phys ed here is not like real gym.
I love that it's called phys ed though as well, because we called it phys ed. I've never heard anyone say that here.
Oh, I don't know what they call it here. Gym?
They call it gym. Yeah, I think they call it gym.
Well, that's what they do. They do gym. They
Yeah.
don't do phys ed. That's fair. They play dodgeball. Yeah. Like we
Well, I
went
think it's also,
skiing. We did stuff.
I think also because, well, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in Australia, I feel like the high schools here, you're part of the football team and you're part of the whatever. That wasn't really a thing. I mean, we did like inter-school sports, and then if you wanted to play the football, you could. If you wanted to play netball, you could. But like you weren't part of the school's football team or the school's netball team. We just did it in phys ed when we would go and take phys ed, however many periods a week you had to do it. It was like, today we're playing netball. Today we're playing
What's netball?
which is netball's. It's I guess it's kind of like basketball but without dribbling, and you're not, once you get the ball, you're not allowed to
Just throw it at people.
Yeah, essentially, like if someone throws you the ball, then you're allowed to pivot on one foot, but one foot always has to be touching the ground. So,
Okay.
and then you'd pivot around, and then you'd pass it, and then eventually get to everyone has positions. So like goal attack, goal shooter, wing attack, wing defense, center.
Kind of like those little games that you play with the people on the stick, like a foosball table, but with people.
Yeah, but you're holding the ball. You're not.
Yeah.
You don't kick it. It's weird.
Right.
Look it up.
It sounds fun. It sounds very
It's a
fun.
really fun sport, and it's crazy that this Olympics, they were like, yeah, let's do breakdancing, but they wouldn't let netball in. It was so weird.
And then they did breakdancing wrong. Whatever.
Did it wrong.
They did it wrong. They did it wrong. They should have
They could have
consulted
had netball,
several
but they
dancers before they did it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But yeah, so we had a bunch of weird sports in Australia, actually. There was a few. Like, do you guys have T-ball? Is T-ball a thing?
That's like baseball with a stick, like where it's cheating.
It's on the yeah.
And then we did that at the beginning.
It's like Newcomb's like a easier version of volleyball.
I don't think I know that.
Yeah, we were allowed to like catch the ball and then pass it and then toss it over the net. It's super
I think
weird.
these people were just drunk when they were making these sports up over there. Like, how do we make
this also just, when kids aren't good at sports, they're like, well, let's make it easier on you.
Which is smart. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so if someone wanted to become a burlesque dancer or take your classes, how would they do that? Because you teach classes too, right?
I teach burlesque classes, yeah. So every Saturday, I teach at Madeline Clark Studios in North Hollywood, 1 p.m. And it's just burlesque for everybody. Burlesque 101. We do a full warm-up, we do down the room, and then we do a routine.
What's down the room? Oh, like across the floor?
Like across the floor, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's okay. I was just trying to make sure I understand it.
No. I love it. And yeah, it's for everybody. We have, he, she, they, everybody type, everyone. We want everyone
but also,
to do
like, dance skill-wise, they don't have to be
you could have never
dancer.
before.
So it could be someone. Okay.
Yeah. Or you could be a professional dancer and you just want to try burlesque, because it is different to regular dancing. Do
you have to get naked?
So I teach it with my pardon.
Do you have to get naked in the class?
No.
Okay.
Every now and then we'll do like we might do like today we're going to take off gloves, so you'll bring your gloves. So if we do like bra removals, we just put bras over the top of our clothing, so no one has to get naked. But yeah, so I teach it every Saturday with my producing partner. We produce a show together. And then twice a year, we do a 7-week course where people get to develop an act. So they have 7 weeks. We meet every Saturday and they slowly develop their act, choreography, costume, everything. And then they put on a student showcase. So, yeah.
And when is that?
So we just had our student showcase in February. And so our next one won't be until June.
So if someone wants to sign up, they can. They have plenty of time.
Yes, so they could come and take our regular class at 1 p.m. and then chat to us about it, and then they could sign up for it.
I love it. Is it expensive?
We charge $300 for a 7-week program.
That's not bad at all.
No, it's not bad. And then you also get to perform on a stage, and yeah, it's great.
That is great. You have another show though, like your professional show.
Yeah, so Ridiculesque is a show that we do 4 times a year now at the Cat's Crawl in East Hollywood, and it is this Saturday, March 29th at 8 p.m. It is comedy and burlesque and just silliness but sexiness. It's great. I love doing it. It's
So
my
how
favorite.
does that show work? So if people want to get tickets, they would go to your website or?
Yes, they can go to our website. It is going to be twiteasepresents.com. I can.
Twitties?
Do you like
Spell
show
that for me.
notes? Do you do show notes for your podcast?
I can. Yeah, I can.
I can give you that because it's probably
Yeah,
easier. So we're called Twittease because me and my producing partner, when we first met, we did a duo together. And when you're rehearsing, you don't generally get naked when you're rehearsing. You're like, oh yeah, and this is the point where the bra comes off, as we're talking through it. And then we were in our last rehearsal before the show. And we're like, okay, we need to do the full thing, get naked. Let's put pasties on. Let's do all that. And then I was like, well, we don't need to do pasties. Let's just be naked, but we'll take the bra off. I'm like, okay, great. And so we're in this classroom and our bras came off, and then we just stopped in our tracks because we had exactly the same boobs. I mean, exactly. Like they were the same size. The nipples were the same size, like everything. It was so weird. And so then when we were creating our company, we called it Twittease, like twin titties.
That's
Twitty.
fun.
So yeah, that's how we call it.
Dumb question. Women with bigger areolas, do they have to buy bigger stickers then? Like, do they come in sizes?
Pasties. Yeah, so I make them. I make pasties, and you make them in all different sizes. Yeah.
How does the size run work for that if you're shopping? Like if you're online, you're like.
Well, they'll tell you like the diameter.
Okay.
And then you can measure it from like what your nipple is.
I don't know if it was like shoes or it was like size 7.
No, no. They'll tell you like,
I'm a 7 slim or whatever, or I'm a wide 8. I just want to know. Cool.
Yeah. So, but I make them. So,
but what's the point in pasties? Like, what's the big difference? Like, why is the nipple the thing that is the line?
To be fair,
because I get like vaginas and penises, but the nipple thing I don't get because guys have nipples.
I agree. And we also say like, because we have guys in our shows as well, and we want everybody to wear pasties because if women have to do it, then everyone should have to do it. Mm-hmm. So, and that's just like a blanket kind of rule that we have for ours. In this state, you can't expose nipples if you are selling alcohol. So that is also a thing. But just burlesque, ever since the beginning, they've always done the pasty thing. I think maybe it probably started with tassels. I should know more history about this.
They probably started with tassels, but also I'm thinking it was probably that because we feed children with it or something, that there's like a
probably some terrible
patriot. What if this is so my brain? Okay, so I have this bathing suit called what did I get? A Tata top. It's a charity for breast cancer. And
cool.
It's a bathing suit top that's exactly your skin color, and it has areolas, so it looks like you're naked. And I think it's hilarious.
That's
and my husband hates it, but it's so funny to me. So what if I got pasties that look like nipples?
Totally, I've done that before. Yeah,
because that's funny to me.
It's a fun thing.
And just make it different.
Yeah, I do a duet with someone, and we do it to the song "Let It Go" from Frozen. But dub over the go.
I never even thought of like "Let It Go" in a burlesque show. That might be my favorite. That works. That's fun. So funny to me.
But we did. But I've dubbed over all the goes with my voice saying "grow."
That's fine.
And so we had like hairy armpits, hairy nipples, hairy merkins. So like, I mean, we're just covering up the things we have, but accentuate, but saying that essentially is a vagina, even though it's a wig on my vagina, but just, and so every time it goes, let it grow, That's fun. And then, so yes, people do that and it's funny. No, I think it really works.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Because also it is like, why do we have to wear pasties? Because when I was dancing in France originally, it was topless, nipples out. That's the French way.
It's just an interesting thing that's the line. Like, obviously, there has to be a line in order for a rule to be created. So, but it's
Totally.
like, okay, that's the line. Got it. Check. Because if
I
guess, yeah, I don't know.
I wish it was. I wish we could have nipples out, because also, like, when you've done like 4 pasty changes in a night, like, your nipples are red raw.
Oh
So
yeah, the sticky
nice.
glue. It's
Yeah.
worse. It's not even good for you. Yeah.
No, it's not
Yeah.
good. Like, when I did this Chicago trip, I mean, I had this like permanent mark for a good week, because it was just too many pasty changes.
Can you put like a one pasty and then the other one's on top, like a
No,
tearaway pants?
you could do, yeah. No, you
It's
could do like an underneath pasty, but still that pasty is going to be on all night, so you're going to feel the irritation.
Oh, it's
Because
not gonna matter.
I use wig tape
Okay.
on my nipples, and it's great because the pasties don't come off, but like, it is harsh on your nipples.
What happens if it does come off? Are you in trouble?
If
it's
mine
not
ever
on
comes,
purpose.
no, it's not on
Like,
purpose.
No, I know, but if it's not on purpose, then you can't get in trouble.
Totally. Right? Well,
I'm just saying.
I've only ever happened maybe once, just because it was very hot in the venue and I was just super sweaty, and I just put my hand on it, and then you just do the rest of the routine like that. But obviously, like, then when it happens to men, they're just like, well, my faces are rough.
Yeah.
So
In stand-up comedy, like, there's a lot of drinking, so sometimes there's guys who are inappropriate. Does that happen a lot in burlesque, or is it mostly people who respect the art?
I think that most of the time, I have never been dancing and been, I mean, they're going to yell inappropriate shit, because
But that's part of the gig too. Like, or is it not?
And
Are you not supposed to?
No, you want people to like hoot and holler and scream and cheer and stuff like that. But sometimes men just say things, and you're like, well, that wasn't
What's the grossest?
I mean, there's going to be a lot of swear words probably in there, but
That's fair.
it just doesn't, like, they're just doing it to get something out of you. They could just hoot and holler, and it's fine. It's fine. But no one's ever touched me. So
okay, good.
Because also the host, if you have a good host, they're going to set you up for success. Like, it's like, because consent goes both ways. A lot of the time they'll say, like, you are not allowed to touch the burlesque dancers. They are allowed to touch you, because we are. That's part of a show sometimes. But if you do not want to be touched, just go like this, and we won't touch you. Like, that's totally fine. Like, we can make it go both ways. And I think when that, like, respect is set up in the beginning, then people are pretty great about it.
So your show that you have coming up this weekend, is it like the host is like a stand-up comic, or is everybody a dancer? How does it work as a full show?
So I host it with my co-producer. We host it together, and then every act is a little bit different. So it's called Ridiculesque because it's like ridiculously sexy, or ridiculously funny, or just ridiculously stupid. Like, everybody has something different. So we have classic and comedic burlesque, and I'm doing a comedic one. I also do comedic monologues into strips. So that is the act that I'm doing this weekend, and I have another person that I work with a lot, and she does that as well. And then we have some people that are just doing like a very classic burlesque strip to, like, old-timey music, that like jazz style music and things like that. So everybody's doing something completely different, which is what I like about the show.
That's great. How long do they typically last?
So like 5-minute acts.
No, like the whole show. So some
the whole
tickets.
Show?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 to 10.
And then is it like with stand-up, you have a 2-item minimum? Is it the same thing, or no?
No. There's a full bar, but you don't.
It's kind of like going to see a musical, more or less. Then.
Yeah. You're going to see a production that's put on, because like me and my producing partner, we rent out the space, so it's ours. They put on the full bar, and that's just how it works. But
guys, go get your tickets this Saturday. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. Go be cultured.
It's 8 o'clock. We'll be done by 10. You'll be in bed by 11. Look at that.
You could do it. You could
Easy
do
night.
it. Well,
and
thank you so much
boobs.
and you get to see boobies, okay? Who doesn't want that? Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Where can everybody legally stalk you?
Sorry, my cat is here.
I love it.
I am on Instagram at Booger_Boobs.
And why is it booger?
I think it's funny.
That's fair.
During the pandemic, when I thought I'd never work again, I used to be called something different. My burlesque name used to be Olive Ostentatious.
Ooh.
And no one could ever say it or spell it, which was super fun. And then during the pandemic, when none of us were working, and I was like, well, I'll never do burlesque again. It's all over. And my husband said to me, yeah, you should just change your Instagram name to like Booger Boobs or something. And I was like, yeah, I should. And I did that. And then when we were coming out of the pandemic, I was like, I just don't feel like Olive suits me anymore. Like I do more comedy, burlesque. This feels more me. Let's just do it. And honestly, I have worked so much more as Booger Boobs than I ever worked as Olive. So just,
Oh, I love it.
just the right move, you know?
We got to get you areolas where like tissues can come up so you could blow your nose.
You know what?
Magic
That's not
tricks.
bad.
Yeah,
That's not
magic
bad.
tricks. I might have a new calling, everybody. I may have to get into burlesque. Well, again,
Hey, you
thank
should
you
come
so
take
much.
class with me.
One day, if I'm in town on there's a weekend.
Oh yeah, you're never in town on a weekend.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, everyone. Go see the show on Saturday and have a great week.
Thank you so much.